warm, sunny May day, three 8-year-old boys set off on a bike ride around their hometown of West Memphis, Arkansas. The next afternoon, their bruised and mutilated, hog-tied bodies were pulled from a stream, setting off an all-out effort to find their offenders. Within a month, investigators were convinced that they had found the offenders, three out of the mainstream teenagers who would become known as the West Memphis Three. The convictions and court battles that followed provide a cautionary tale for police and prosecutors too sure of their instincts and too quick to rely on the questionable evidence that supports them. On May 5th, 1993, three 8-year-old boys, Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers, were reported missing in West Memphis, Arkansas. West Memphis is the largest city in Crittenden County, Arkansas. In 2010, the population was around 26,000, ranking it as the state's 18th largest city. It is part of the Memphis metropolitan area, and it is located directly across the Mississippi River from Memphis, Tennessee. The following is a timeline of events. May 5th, 1993, 6 p.m., Christopher Byers, Michael Moore, and Stevie Branch are seen riding their bicycles on North 14th Street, heading in the direction of Goodwin. Around approximately 3 p.m., Michael Moore arrives at Stevie's house on his bike, and around 3:15 p.m., Stevie and Michael leave the house to ride their bikes. Stevie is told to be back by 4:30 p.m. The boys leave. They're going west on South Macaulay, then turn north on 14th Street. At approximately 4 to 4:15 p.m., Gregory Quart reports seeing Stevie and Michael with a bunch of other boys. He says that they told him that they were going riding. Quart describes seeing three boys on two bikes and is unconfirmed as to whether the third boy on the bike was Christopher. At approximately 5:15 p.m., David Jacoby states that he saw Stevie and two boys pass by outside of his home. At approximately 5 to 5:30 p.m., Jeff and Betty Lou Martin see four boys, which they describe three on two bikes and one walking. They did identify them as three of them as Christopher, Michael, and Stevie. At approximately 5:45 p.m., the Baileys report seeing Stevie and Michael wearing green backpacks riding bikes. Michael told Otto Bailey that he was in a hurry and needed to leave, and the boys are seen going towards Mayfair. At approximately 5:45 to 6 p.m., Kim Williams is seen in the same location as Stevie and Michael until she is called in by her father. She claims that she last saw the two boys heading into Robin Hood Woods by the way of the Goodwin entrance. At approximately 6 p.m., Ben Crafton confirms that Kim was with Stevie and Michael until being called in by her father. Also around 6 p.m., Deborah Oettinger says the boys meet up in her yard and eventually go into the woods by the Goodwin entrance. One last sighting around 6 p.m., Jason Goebel reports seeing two boys on bicycles. Also around 6 p.m., Dana Moore saw three boys on two bikes on North 14th Street. At approximately 6 to 6:30 p.m., Christopher, Michael, and Stevie are seen playing in the Clark's backyard, which is a few houses down from the Hobbs's house. Jamie Clark Ballard stated that she heard Terry Hobbs call Stevie back to the house. At approximately 6 to 6:30 p.m., all three boys are seen by Cindy Rico. She said she saw them by the drainage ditch down past the Blue Beacon truck wash down by the bridge. At around 6:45 p.m., there's a questionable sighting. Brian Woody said he saw four boys playing on Goodwin, not confirmed as being Stevie, Michael, and Christopher. The last confirmed sighting is at approximately 7 p.m. Chris Wall says he saw Christopher and Stevie riding bikes. He refers to one boy as a blonde. He says that he knew it was around 7 p.m. because it was when he got out of night school, and he saw the boys after class let out. And he said the boys were going towards Robin Hood Woods. He reported that it was beginning to get dark, and he was polygraphed about involvement, and he did not indicate deception to questions asking if he was involved. May 5th, 1993, at approximately 8 p.m., John Mark Byers telephones the West Memphis police to report a missing child, 8-year-old Christopher Byers. 10 minutes later, an officer shows up to interview Mark Byers. By 8:30, John Mark Byers reported later he began searching a wooded area where Christopher sometimes played, known as Robin Hood Hills. May 5th, around 9 p.m., Dana Moore and Pam Hobbs called to report that their 8-year-old sons, Michael Moore and Steve Branch, are missing. And in 2007, Pamela Hobbs states, quote, Terry told me he really thought he was going to find him and he didn't want to burden me at work, but I held anger toward Terry over that he did not tell me Stevie was missing. On May 5th, between 9:30 and 10 p.m., Narlene Hollingsworth, according to what she later tells police, sees Damian Eccles and another boy, both in muddy pants, walking near the Blue Beacon truck wash on the edge of Robin Hood Hills. Prosecutors will later argue that the crimes of the three boys takes place during this time frame. According to Dr. Frank Peretti, the medical examiner who autopsied the boys, in his opinion, the homicides most likely took place between 1 and 5 a.m. on the morning of May 6th. On the morning of May 6th, around 6 a.m., Gary Gitchell, chief inspector of the West Memphis Police Department, announces that 3 boys are missing and that he will direct the search efforts. May 6th at 8 a.m., a more thorough police search for the boys began. It was led by the Crittenden County Search and Rescue personnel. Searchers canvassed all of West Memphis, but focused primarily on Robin Hood Hills, where the boys were reported last seen. Despite a shoulder-to-shoulder search of Robin Hood Hills by a human chain, searchers found no sign of the missing boys at that time. On May 6th, at approximately 1:45 p.m., juvenile parole officer Steve Jones spotted a boy's black shoe floating in a muddy creek that led to a major drainage canal in Robin Hood Hills. A subsequent search of the ditch revealed the bodies of the 3 boys. They had been stripped naked. They were hogtied with their own shoelaces. Their right ankles were tied to their right wrist behind their backs, and it was the same with their left wrists and left ankles. Their clothes were found in the creek. Some of it was twisted around sticks that had been thrust into the muddy ditch bed. The clothing was mostly turned inside out, and 2 pairs of the boys' underwear were never recovered. Police initially suspected that the boys had been SA'd. However, later expert testimony disputed this finding. Trace amounts of sperm DNA were found on a pair of pants recovered from the scene. Prosecution experts claim that Christopher Byers' wounds were the results of a knife attack and that he had been purposely castrated by the offender or offenders. Defense experts claim the injuries were most likely the result of post-mortem animal predation. Police believe the boys were assaulted and their lives were taken at the location where they were found. However, critics argued that the assault, at least, was unlikely to have occurred at the creek. Christopher Byers was the only victim with drugs in his system. He had been prescribed Ritalin in January of 1993 as a part of a treatment for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The initial autopsy reported that there was the dosage was at a subtherapeutic level. and his father said that Christopher may not have taken his prescription on May 5th, 1993.